Hello guys and welcome back to another FPL video. My name is FPL Meerkat and today I've got my initial team selection for the 2024-25 season. It's really good to be back. I've had a nice summer off. I've been loving enjoying watching the Euros football, and now we're going to get straight into making our first team here, my first team for the season. Now the game has launched probably about an hour ago. I was at work, I've just got back. I did an auto select team as you can see on the screen here, so completely ignore these players here, and I'm literally just going to be tinkering around here making my initial team, and hopefully I don't touch it until the very start of the season. I think we know that's not going to happen, but let's have a look at how the team is going to be. So here is the new interface. Personally, not really a fan of this new interface, if I'm totally honest. These little boxes around each player, I'm not quite sure why that's a thing. I'd like the, just the shirts on their own. But yeah, I mean, let's see what we can do in terms of a team. So I have done a little bit of research into, the new players that are in the game, some of the prices. Some of the prices I'm not actually too sure about myself. So we'll be looking through those as well, reacting to some of those. But in terms of fixtures, I have done my own little tickers in terms of which teams have good fixtures to start off the season. I've done a graphic for 5 games, the first 5 games of the season, and for the first 8 games of the season, and just ranked them based on my own personal opinion on basically how tough the fixtures are. And what I seem to find, especially over the 8 game week period, is that Liverpool, Newcastle and Arsenal have really good fixtures. Arsenal was a little bit different. Their first 5, they rank pretty low. I think they're one of the worst actually. But over 8 games, they're one of the best. So they're teams that I'd like to look at as well. But again, it's early days. I know that a lot of people will have a lot of stuff about fixtures coming out. But yeah, I will somehow integrate the graphics whilst I'm making these, making my team here. And let me know what kind of stuff you would like to see. I post a lot of stuff over on my Twitter in terms of the graphics, but I will try and incorporate more of those into the videos. That was the feedback from you guys over on YouTube. Is that some of you don't have Twitter and you're missing out on probably about 90% of my content, which I make over on Twitter. But anyway, looking at in terms of the defenses, so goalkeepers, we're going to start off with the goalkeepers. I like my 4.5 goalkeepers. I like having a 4.5 option. So we're going to sort by price here. And yeah, we're going to look at the 4.5 options. Ortega comes in at 5.5 as well as Edison. They must think that Edison's going to get sold. That must be why Ortega's been priced at 5.5 there. We've got the usual suspects here at 5 million as well. 4.5 is probably where I'm going to be looking in terms of a goalkeeper. Now, there's a few defences I'd like to target. Newcastle's a really good one. Arsenal, I definitely want an Arsenal defender. Crystal Palace, I think, is an absolute must given how cheap they are and how incredibly good they were last season. I think they were the 4th best for expected goals conceded, so I definitely want a Crystal Palace defender. Villa's a defence I'd like. Chelsea have incredibly good fixtures from game weeks 2 to 7. Their game week 1 and their game week 8 fixtures are pretty tough, but they're really good. So maybe we'll start there actually. If I look at the Chelsea players. Yeah. Oh, wow. Kepa's back at Chelsea, is he? I'm going to assume he's going to be sold. But Petrovic or Sanchez. I don't actually know who the starting goalkeeper is anymore. I think Petrovic was the one starting games near the end of the season, wasn't he? I think he displaced Sanchez in the team. So I think we'll go for Petrovic there, given that, yeah, pretty much the whole defence there. Oh, no, it's the fullbacks. The fullbacks are 5 million for Chelsea. And the centre-backs are 4.5. So if someone like Colwill can nail down a spot in that Chelsea defence, he could be great value. But he's the same price as the goalkeeper. So yeah, I think Petrovic is my go-to start off with. Yeah, it's a tough fixture, but that's fine by me with the first fixture, to be honest. He can make a lot of saves against Man City. And maybe he can score one of those 10-point goals that now have been added to the game. In terms of a 4 million, I mean, let's have a look. Turner, yeah, I would just put Turner in there for now. I like to just go with one goalkeeper and stick with it. It was pretty easy to go over 4 million goalkeeper last season because of Areola being such great value at 4 million, really mispriced at 4 million. I don't think that will happen this season. We might get a 4 million starting goalkeeper, but I really doubt it. So I think Petrovic or maybe Henderson for Crystal Palace will probably be my starting goalkeeper for the time being. We also get 5 free transfers. We get 1 free transfer every week, but we can bank up to 5 free transfers this time around. So it's going to really pay off if you make a good team for the first 4 game weeks. Don't make a transfer, and then you've got a ton of transfers to be able to use for future game weeks. Would be really good. In terms of the defenders, I said I definitely want a Arsenal defender. Ben White sadly does come in at 6.5 million. I really hoped he'd be 6 million. Would be the same price as Saliba and Gabriel, but I kind of knew he would be more expensive. If you have watched the channel last season, I was a huge advocate for Ben White when everyone was going Gabriel, and he did end up outscoring him over the season, which I was quite happy about. Timber is back though. I don't know how he will affect his minutes. I'm going to assume that Timber will play left back, keeping White at right back, but that might also affect his attacking output. So I think for the time being, it is surprising that Saliba outscored Gabriel as well. That's quite funny. I will go for Gabriel for now, just as the Arsenal defender template. But again, we will see over pre-season which of those defenders is good. But Arsenal defence was incredible last season. I think it's definitely worth having one. He's probably going to be my only premium defender for now. I do really like the look of Trippier at Newcastle. Of course, an absolute bonus point magnet there with 20. 39 as well. If he can regularly start over the season, yeah, his expected assist stat is ridiculous. He's one of the best if not the best in the game in terms of that. Trent, of course, is another big player that I haven't really considered just because 7 million seems quite expensive for someone who didn't really perform last season, and we have no idea how he's going to perform in this new Liverpool system. Liverpool do have the best fixtures, though, to start off the season. That's definite. So he could be someone I consider. I just don't know how good Liverpool are going to be defensively, and for about the same price, I'd much rather an Arsenal defender than a Liverpool defender. I think the Arsenal defenders should massively outscore the Liverpool defenders. So in terms of my defence, my plan at the moment is to go for 3 4.5 million defenders and rotate them. So have 2 of them starting each week. And I did a little bit of digging in terms of the rotations. Chelsea was a really good team to rotate with just because it was only game week 1 and game week 8. This is over the first 8 game weeks, by the way. For some reason, I've planned for the first 8 game weeks. I think I'm going to go for Burn to get a Newcastle defender. I know that Burn is, he's not the best defensively, is he? But he does have a little bit of attacking threat, a little bit of bonus points, but it's just covering that Newcastle defence for a really cheap price. But as you can see there, Cher and Trippier were really the high point scorers. But in terms of points per million, Burn is going to be better value. And Botman there is, he's injured until December. So Burn is definitely going to be locked down in that Newcastle defence. Another defence I really want to get is Palace. So I've seen that Mitchell and Munoz there have come in at 5 million, but Anderson is 4.5. So I think Anderson is going to be an easier person to put in the team there for me. Has the attacking threat over Gahey, got 2 goals, 3 assists, gets the bonus points as well. I think he's a really solid pick for 4.5 to cover that Crystal Palace defence. Crystal Palace defence really cheap again. Of course, you can go for Munoz for that attacking threat. The 4 assists in just 16 starts was pretty good for him. But I'm going to save that 0.5 million by going for Anderson. And the other defence I'd like to get is Villa. Aston Villa. And as you can see there, loads of 4.5 options. Martson is the only one at 5 million there. The much more attacking fullback, who I assume is going to be the starting left back. Alex Moreno, absolutely loved him from last season. Real roller coaster of a player. I did own him for those 2 goals there. But I think I'm going to go for Konza just for the assurance of starts. Again, this is quite a safe team as you can gather to start off with. And then the last one is just going to be a 4 million defender just to cover off the bench. and that is going to be probably a Southampton defender. I think Southampton's fixtures cover some of the tougher ones nice. I think let's have a look. Because Arsenal play Man City away on game week 5. Game week 5, Southampton play Ipswich at home, which is a brilliant fixture. So I could also go for an Ipswich defender as well if I prefer them. But Harwood Bellis, who I know is a starter and is 4 million. There's a lot of 4 million defenders there. Manning as well, really attacking player, as well as Walker Peters. They could be really nice value picks at some point in the season. But yeah, that's a very cheap defence there. And I've got 68 million for the rest of the squad. I should probably address this now. At the moment, I'm not going with Haaland, just because he's 15 million. He's 15 million, which is very expensive. You can get players for considerably cheaper than Haaland who get round about the same points. So I just don't think Haaland is that good value this season, to be honest. He could make a mockery of it. Again, he could score tons of goals. We know what he's like. He did start a lot less games as well. But I'd much rather use the value, I think, on other players. So looking at the midfielders, we're pretty much going to pick a lot of the top midfielders. Salah, I'm going to put straight in the team. If we get any indication that there is a different midfielder or attacker from Liverpool that regularly starts, because I believe they are all 7.5 million. Yeah, Diaz 7.5 million, Jota 7.5, Darwin and Gakpo. If we get any indication that any of them are going to be regularly starting, I would happily save the 5 million. Salah's only that expensive because we know he's going to play week in, week out. We're going to assume he's going to keep penalties as well. I don't know what Slot's going to think, but as a Liverpool fan myself, Salah shouldn't be taking penalties. He's probably the 5th best penalty taker in our team. Van Dijk is better at penalties. Trent is better at penalties. McAllister is definitely better at penalties. And then arguably Darwin or Szoboszlai are better at penalties than Salah is. He's missed quite a few over the recent years. It will be interesting to see if he still keeps those penalties, though. In terms of the midfielders, I have considered Palmer. Just seems to be a really consistent asset. But player that's definitely going to be in is Foden. If I can save 5.5 million on Haaland, getting in a Man City attacker there. I mean, look how much he outscored his XG as well. Really clinical player. Took a lot of shots as well. They've changed some of the BPS to reward players who take a lot of shots, get them on target, and win fouls. And the likes of Foden are really good. Another player for that as well who's going to go in the team is Saka. Now, I have considered Ødegaard, who comes in at 8.5 million. And as you can see there, only 40 points less. That's not too bad for someone who you can save 1.5 million on. But yeah, I just really like my solid midfielders there. I think they've been very well priced as well, that we definitely have to make cuts somewhat. So yeah, at the moment, it's going to be Salah, Foden, Saka. I'm going to have a 5-man midfield as well. They haven't changed any of the point scoring when it comes to the midfielders and the strikers. And if you can see here, if we go on all players, we've got 5 players there over 200 points. Just the 2 players from the forwards. I think there's far more value in the midfielders than there are the forwards. So when it comes to next midfielder, Son as well, someone who 10 million, I think we've only just got that price. Haven't seen him before. Could be someone who we definitely look at over the season. Again, Leicester is the first game, really nice. They have a couple tough ones there as well. But over the 8-week period that I was looking at, pretty good. They rank pretty good. Another player who I'm definitely going to have is Gordon. 7.5 million. I think that's a little bit cheap for him. I think really good value there. 27 attacking returns there. And that home fixture to Southampton is the best fixture for game week 1. I'm definitely going to want a Newcastle defender to some extent in my team. The last midfielder I am going to save for last, because I want to see how much money I have left in the bank. Watkins, I think, is going to go straight into my team. I have heard some points which I do agree with in terms of, I mean, one attacking return per game is absolutely insane. But look at this. 18 assists from an expected assists of 4.02. He didn't create that many chances. He just had a lot of shots that were saved, and then they scored. A player scored the rebound, which means he gets the fancy assist. Now, that could be a good or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. It's probably not going to be sustainable. He's not going to get anywhere near that many assists, you'd have to think. But it does mean he's taking a lot of shots, which is then aided by the bonus point system, and he could end up scoring more of them. He does seem to be a pretty clinical finisher as well. He's outscored his XG there by quite a bit. In fact, he's pretty much got the same XG as the previous season and scored 4 more goals. And I think Villa could just really take off this season, so I'd definitely like to have him in my team. I would like to have a Palace attacker, but Mateta is going to be at the Olympics for the start of the season, so he's going to be an absolute no-go. I don't know if there are many other Premier League players who are at the Olympics as well. I'll have to keep my eye on that. And also the likes of Foden and Saka, because, of course, they've been with England at the Euros, so they might get back into training late. They could potentially be... Gordon as well. They could potentially be benched for that first game. I'm not too sure at this time recording. But again, we'll have plenty of time to work all that stuff out. We've got, we've got a month until the start of the season. I think I was umming and ahhing a lot between my second. So I'm going to have five-man midfield. I'm going to have 2 main strikers. I was umming and ahhing between Havertz and Isak. I did have Mateta in initially until I was told about the fact he's at the Olympics. I'm going to go with Isak at the moment. It's basically which attack do I want to double up on? The Newcastle attack or the Arsenal attack? I think Havertz could really make a mockery of that 8 million price tag if Arsenal don't sign another striker. I just have a feeling they will. I think they will bring in some other kind of attacker. I don't know how often Havertz is going to start as the striker, and paying 8 million for that might be quite steep. But again, could make a mockery of it. And I think the fact he now loses a point for every goal is going to affect him a little bit. And Isak, I think, is just an absolute monster. 21 goals scored. I think he is an exceptionally good player. Arguably the second best striker in the league as well. It's close between him and Watkins. And I think picking the both of them up for just a little bit more than what Haaland's price is, I think is really, really valuable. And of course, we are going to go for a 4.5 million striker to fill in at that last spot on the bench. What are people saying in terms of the most selected? Fraser at the moment. I don't think any of these players are going to be starters. But again, this is going to be dead last on my bench. This is not going to be someone I rely on at all. So we're just going to put Fraser in there. And as you can see, we've got 6.5 million left for the last spot, which is a real shame because I wanted to get Eze, who, wow, Eze's in 38% of teams at the moment. And I've got the rest of the midfielders there, if you look at that. Look at that, because you've got Eze, you've got Rashford, you've got Mbeumo. Some really, really nice options there. Brentford's fixtures at the start, though, are rough, so I don't think I'll be looking at any Brentford players to start the season, just because of how tough that opening run is. Although they are pretty good against the tougher teams. So in terms of 6.5 million midfielders, as you can see there, I think it's got to be Nkunku. I did see that price initially for Nkunku and thought, yeah, that's about right, because he didn't really do much last season. But of course he was injured, and I believe that, yeah, he started 2 games and scored 3 goals. Like, that's pretty crazy. Amassed a massive XG. If he's starting regularly as a striker for Chelsea at 6.5 million, he's going to make an absolute mockery of that price at 6.5 million. He could be really, really good. That first game against Man City is a tough one. Again, I do have 3 4.5 million defenders there, so there is a potential to not even play Nkunku for that first game and then bring him in straight away for game week 2. But I think he fits the bill really well for that 6.5 million attacking role. Again, Garnacho, a really solid pick. Kudus, Gibbs-White. I really enjoy the pricing this time around because there feels like there's so many options and we really have to make decisions here. I've not got Trent, I've not got Haaland, and I've not got Palmer. And yet I look at this team and think it's really solid. And yet I've arguably not got 3 of the best players in the game because I've got Watkins, Isak, Salah, Foden, Saka, Gordon, and Nkunku as a front 7. Which I think is really, really solid. I would like to get Eze into this team somehow. I don't know how I'm going to squeeze out 0.5. If I go Isak to Havertz, that would do it. Or if I squeeze down one of the 4.5 million defenders there, that could do it. We're going to make the transfers there, all the transfers to make the team. Yeah, we've got the bench boost here, triple captain, and a mystery chip which we don't know. We don't know what it's going to be until January. That's going to be a difficult one to plan for indeed. And in terms of the team, yeah, so we're going to start... in terms of the rotation, it worked really nicely with these three defences, I feel. So Burn is definitely going to play with the home fixture against Southampton. And there's a bit of a toss-up between Anderson and Konza there. I do think the Palace defence is the better defence. So I think I'm going to play him over Konza for game week 1. Fraser goes last on the bench there. And of course, the captain is going to be Salah for that lovely, lovely game against Ipswich. Of course, I could go for one of Isak or Gordon. But yeah, that is going to be how the team looks initially. Oh, hang on. I've got the vice-captaincy on Petrovic. We're going to vice-captain Isak instead. Don't make that mistake. But yeah, I mean, we could switch Konza as well for Nkunku, have him on the bench, play a 4-4-2. I always seem to have a 4-4-2 to start the season, but I think 3-5-2 is going to be my main formation to go for. But yeah, that's going to be what the team looks like initially. Guys, let me know what your team looks like in the comments below. And yeah, are you really excited as well to have FPL back? It's been really, really nice to have a break and get ready for the new season. The sun's shining outside. There's plenty of new players coming in. The prices, I think, they've done a really, really good job in terms of the prices, because there are so many players I wish I had in my team that I don't currently have. So yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed this video. It's really good to be back, and I'll see you in the next FPL video.